sitting on the ground in a parking lot. No label, no markings, just a small piece of plastic, smaller than your little finger, lying on hot asphalt in the Middle East sun, like someone had simply dropped it by accident. The network it destroyed was the most classified military computer system the United States had ever built. War plans, troop movements, encrypted communications between battlefield commanders and the highest levels of the Pentagon. Information so sensitive that accessing it without authorization was considered one of the most serious crimes a person could commit against the United States government. And it was brought down by a flash drive that cost $5, picked up by a soldier who was just curious. What followed was called the worst breach of United States military computers in history. A cyber attack so severe and so deep that the Pentagon's response to it secretly reshaped the entire way America fights wars. And for over a year, nobody was allowed to talk about it. This is Operation Buckshot Yankee. And this is the story they buried until now.
Level 1. The network that ran the war. To understand what that $5 flash drive destroyed, you need to understand what it got inside. By 2008, the United States military was running 2 wars simultaneously: Iraq and Afghanistan. Hundreds of thousands of troops, supply lines stretching across multiple continents, real-time battlefield communication between soldiers on the ground and commanders in air-conditioned offices in Washington, D.C. All of it running through a classified military computer network called SIPRNet, the Secret Internet Protocol Router Network. It connected every major U.S. military installation on the planet. It carried classified communications between the Pentagon, the State Department, battlefield commanders, and intelligence agencies. It was the digital nervous system of the entire American war machine. To access SIPRNet, you needed special authorization, special hardware. You worked on a computer that was physically separated from the regular internet. No outside connections, no civilian networks. Pure classified military communications only. The security around SIPRNet was considered airtight. The assumption, shared by everyone from junior officers to the Secretary of Defense, was that the only way to get inside SIPRNet was to physically sit at an authorized terminal with authorized credentials. And you could only do that inside a secured military facility, which is exactly why the people who planned what happened next chose a parking lot just outside one.
Level 2. The parking lot. Kandahar Airfield, Afghanistan, 2008. A large U.S. military base in the middle of a war zone. Thousands of soldiers. Dozens of nationalities working alongside American forces. A constant flow of contractors, interpreters, and support staff moving in and out every single day. And a parking lot just outside the base perimeter. The kind of place soldiers walked through multiple times a day, going to and from their vehicles. Ordinary, unremarkable, completely unsecured. Someone, and the U.S. government has never officially confirmed exactly who, though foreign intelligence operatives are the widely accepted answer, placed several infected USB drives in that parking lot. Not hidden, not disguised as anything special, just dropped, like someone had lost them accidentally, because they understood something fundamental about human nature. People pick things up, especially soldiers far from home who are bored, curious, and standing in a parking lot with nothing interesting happening. The drives were designed to look completely ordinary, generic, no label. The kind of flash drive you might find in any office supply store anywhere in the world for $5. And one of them was picked up, carried inside the base, and plugged into a laptop connected to SIPRNet. But here is what made this attack different from anything that had come before it. What was on that drive didn't announce itself. It didn't crash the system. It didn't display a message. It didn't do anything that a human being looking at the screen would notice. It just woke up.
Level 3. The worm inside the machine. The malware on that flash drive was called agent.btz, and it was one of the most carefully designed pieces of malicious code anyone had ever seen at that point in history. It didn't steal files immediately. It didn't crash networks. It did something far more dangerous. It spread quietly, automatically, from machine to machine through the military network, copying itself onto every system it could reach. hiding inside normal-looking files, waiting for the moment it could begin sending information back to whoever had planted it. It was designed specifically to survive inside a classified network. It knew how military systems behaved. It knew how to avoid triggering the security alerts that would expose it. Whoever built it had done their homework. For weeks, possibly longer, Agent.btz moved through SIPRNet completely undetected, copying itself, spreading, reaching deeper into the network, getting closer and closer to the most sensitive communications the United States military was sending anywhere in the world. Think about what that means for 1 second. While American soldiers were making decisions about troop movements in Afghanistan, the network carrying those decisions had a foreign intelligence program quietly reading everything it could reach. While commanders were sending encrypted orders, someone else was potentially reading them first. And now here is the question I want you to actually answer honestly. You are a low-level soldier. You find a USB drive in a parking lot. You know the rules. You are not supposed to plug unknown devices into military hardware, but you are curious.
Level 4. The moment the Pentagon found out. The breach was eventually discovered by a National Security Agency analyst. Not through any automated alert, not through any sophisticated detection system, through the kind of careful, patient, human observation that no computer has ever been able to fully replace. Something was behaving strangely on the network. Traffic patterns that didn't match normal usage. Data moving in directions it shouldn't be moving. Small irregularities that individually meant nothing, but together painted a picture that made the analyst's blood run cold. SIPRNet, the most classified military network in the United States, was infected. The panic that followed inside the Pentagon was unlike anything the military had experienced in the digital age. They didn't know how far it had spread. They didn't know what had been accessed. They didn't know how long it had been running. They didn't know if removing it would trigger something worse. The Deputy Secretary of Defense at the time later described it as feeling like a digital time bomb sitting at the center of America's war machine, and nobody knowing how to defuse it without potentially setting it off. The response was immediate and extreme. Every USB port on every classified military computer was ordered disabled immediately, worldwide. Soldiers working in active war zones suddenly found themselves unable to transfer data using the methods they had been relying on for years. The entire network had to be cleaned, system by system, machine by machine. It took 14 months. Operation Buckshot Yankee, the Pentagon's secret operation to find, contain, and eliminate.
Hundreds of cyber specialists pulled from other assignments, resources diverted from active military operations. The complete restructuring of how the United States military handles digital security at every level. And out of that crisis, the Pentagon quietly built something new: United States Cyber Command, an entirely new branch of American military power, dedicated specifically to fighting wars in the digital space, with a budget, a mandate, and capabilities that have since grown into one of the most powerful cyber warfare operations on the planet. All of it directly born from a $5 flash drive in a parking lot. And here is the final question. Was the soldier who picked up that drive a victim? An ordinary person who made a completely human mistake that any of us would have made in the same situation? Or does some responsibility land on a military institution that knew USB drives were a security risk and still allowed classified terminals to have open ports in a war zone? Because the answer changes who the real story is about. Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely want to know. The United States military spends over $700 billion a year. It has the most advanced weapon systems ever built, the most sophisticated intelligence networks in human history, satellite surveillance that can read a license plate from space. And its most classified war network was broken open by a piece of plastic lying on the ground in a parking lot that somebody picked up because they were curious. A $5 flash drive against the most powerful military on Earth. A flash drive won.